Welcome back to Diplomacy is Not an Option. I previously covered the game on the channel. It's currently still available on Steam in early access, but yesterday it got a major update that many were waiting for. It's actually worth noting that it is not the first major update since it launched in early access a few months back, so it really shows that the devs are really listening to the feedback and pushing hard to complete the game. And now with this new update, I think the game is truly a must-have. You shouldn't wait for it to leave early access. Of course, the price differs per countries, so I can't tell you exactly in your country as always, but at least in my location, it's a complete steal. For that price and the amount of hours that you can play this game, this is a steal. And let's be clear again, this is not a sponsored video, this is just my own opinion. If you already know the game, don't hesitate to use the chapter functionality below so that you can skip directly to where I'm going to show and explain all of the new things coming with this major update released yesterday. Otherwise, I'm going to do a quick recap if you don't know this game. Diplomacy is Not an Option is a strategy city building game. It started as a pure survival game. Think about there are billions, meet maybe Stronghold given that it is in a medieval setting, but since then they've also added several other game modes that make it not just a survival game. And actually this is also what's attracting me because I'm not the biggest fan of pure survival games. I like to have a goal, like an end goal where I can say, okay, now it's done, I've won this mission, let's move to the next one. You know, of course it's great to have a sandbox, to experiment, to do things, but it's also great to have some missions, I feel. And that's what they're doing now. In terms of pure gameplay, anytime you're starting on a completely new map. It's a random map. So you don't know where the enemies are, you don't know where the resources are. You know, there's a big fog of war. You have a few soldiers depending on your difficulty, a bit of resources like wood. Usually you start without stone and iron or money. You also have a few people that are working. I understand that some people hate this type of graphics, the poly style. I don't hate it, I don't love it. I think it works quite well in this game because the goal, you know, is not beauty building like in Anno 1800. This is a lot more about the strategy, about the city building aspect of it. So it works for me. But anyway, you have, as I said, you know, you start with your castle, a bit of soldiers, a bit of resources, and you need to develop your town, right? You're going to build houses to increase your population. You're going to collect resources with your lumber mill or your stone mines. Later on, you get access, you know, to bigger ones. You get access to the iron mine too. You need to collect food, and you have different ways, you know, they all have their pros and cons. You'll have services to manage and researches to develop to improve your civilization. Of course, you'll have to very quickly build a barracks so that you can recruit more soldiers, and there are different levels, of course, of this, including siege engines like catapults and trebuchets. And lastly, for sure, you're gonna want to build big walls because what is happening, again, this is mostly a survival game. There are enemies on the map, but there's also every so often you're gonna get attacked. You're gonna get waves of new enemies coming and attacking. For example, here it says, you know, on day 7 will be attacked, and then, you know, they come and they come and they come again and again. So this is the basic of the game, and we have a campaign in early access. There's only 3 missions, but of course in the full game we can see that there's probably gonna be a lot more, at least on that side. Maybe this is also gonna be a DLC later, who knows. There's obviously a lot of potential to expand in a campaign like this. There's also the endless mode, and not just one, but different endless modes that each have their sort of particulars. It can be that the troops attacking you are different. You can see here, these are villagers, and they have mostly, you know, pikes and things like this. Versus this one is a completely different one. You know, the size is different, the enemies are different. There's a number of, you know, endless modes where you need to try to survive as long as you can. 15 days is not a lot, I know, but this one is a hard one. I need to get better at this one. There's of course also a tutorial to help you, you know, learn the game. I have also on my channel a lot of videos on it, including, you know, top tips and tricks. So don't hesitate to check in the video description below if you want to look for that. But now let's move to what has changed in this new update. And there's a couple of things. There's gameplays, there's graphics, there's performance, but there's also a completely new mode, which again is really important for me. It is the challenge mode, and it's basically sort of missions. They've all started now with 13 different missions. We have space here for more, and all of these 13 also you can do them in 3 different difficulty levels. So if you want this 13 times 3 that you can do. And these again are sort of missions, they're an objective, so you can know if you've won or not. And they're also quite different from each other. I mean, this one, for example, is called Piece of Cake. You know, this is the easier challenge. We still need to survive, right, to kill the enemies in the area, but it seems that it is probably going to be quite easy, a bit more relaxing. Versus this one, you know, this is a lot of waves, 10 waves. It's probably going to take, this one, 12 waves. It's probably going to take a long time. You know, this is marathon. You're going to need to survive to really create a big city. These ones here, epic battle, really interesting. There's only one wave. It's actually not, you know, multiple waves. It's one wave. It will attack not on day 1, obviously, more kind of like day 10, day 20, for example. And again, you know, this is different map size, different types of enemies, or probably also the terrain, the resources that you start with will be different. But this one, you know, epic battle. This is one huge battle. You need to make sure you have enough to survive. And then this one, very interesting, you know, I won't say the next word, but it's basically, you know, very unusual challenge. I haven't tried them yet, you know, it just released last night, so I'm discovering a bit like you are. You can see different types of enemies. This one also seems really interesting. There's only one type of enemy, one wave. So I think that's gonna be an interesting one. But again, I think what's really interesting here is they're starting to not just have pure endless, but actually specific challenges, different challenges where you need to, you know, play a different way to survive. And that creates, I think, a lot of replayability, but also a clear sense of achievement, which I really like. And obviously, I mean, this is open here. You could also probably think that this is something that could be modded, right? If they provide support for this, we could have people creating their own missions and share that. But that's not all. There's many other changes that have been made. The first one is that the performance has increased significantly. And I've actually tried one of my old save and I could see that, you know, it was working a lot better. So I think we're also going to be able to get into huge fight with this. They've also added a photo mode, as you can see here with F11. I'll be able to take pictures for you all a lot easier. They've also added something huge, which is now you can click here to repeat the last order in your market. So you don't have to micromanage the market anymore. You know, you can, for example, produce a lot of stone or a lot of food and just sell that all the time. Similarly, they've added the ability to mass recruit instead of having to click one by one like this. You know, every time you wanted to create 20 new people, you can press shift to create 5 at a time, as long as you have the resources, of course. So again, a great way to reduce the micromanagement in the end game, which is quite important. They've also corrected a number of bugs and improvements. So don't hesitate to check in the video description below if you want to see the full list. But once again, I definitely think this is a game worth playing. I'm keen to try all of these new challenges and tell me in the comments below if you want to see them on the channel. I'd love to hear about it. And I hope to see you next time.